My 33 female boyfriend, 33 male, blames all his bad behavior on his autism. But he doesn't seem willing to work on it. We've been together for 7 months, and I love him. But as I've told him, I've started wondering why we're together, because every time we're together it's like I'm voluntarily choosing to grab an electrified fence. For example, one of our running jokes is that he has daddy vibes. We were walking along, and I tried to hold his hand. I made a joke that I wanted to hold it because otherwise people would think he was my daddy. This is par for the course of the kind of daddy jokes that we make all the time. But then he said that people wouldn't think that, because I look so plain and stuck up. He showed me a meme of a bra for back rolls and said that I should get one. He's always critiquing how I look, e.g., you look so tired, you have bags, dark circles. Why is your hair frizzy, you have a pimple, etc. Basically anytime anything is less than perfect about my appearance, he comments on it. I told him that I could deal with the fact that he never compliments me if he didn't also critique me constantly. But that hasn't changed his behavior. He follows a shit ton of fitness influencers on Instagram and likes and comments on all their thirst traps. He posts thirst traps in turn. He has never posted me on his Instagram, not because he's a private person. His Insta is public and he posts all about himself, except for me. Feels like he's not posting me because he wants to be free to flirt there. There's more, but you get the picture. And just for reference, I'm pretty sure that I'm above average looks-wise, and not overweight, so it feels like he's just negging me. Following the incident a couple of weeks ago when he called me plain and stuck up, I was ready to leave. He said that I was too sensitive and that he couldn't see himself being able to avoid hurting my feelings. So I tried to break up with him. And I suggested that he read some books about relationships. Then he downloaded like 3 audiobooks about autism and relationships, and ordered some for me after asking if I would read them. I said that I would. Here we are a week later, I've listened to all the audiobooks that he downloaded plus an additional one. He hasn't listened to any of them. I suspect that this is because he's currently listening to one about the history of Eastern Europe. I guess what I'm wondering is if he's right that my expectations for him are just fucked up? Is he right that his bad behavior is because he's autistic? Too long did not read. Should I lower my expectations for my autistic boyfriend? Should I just break up with him? ETA. When I typed this post out, I was feeling hurt and frustrated. But how I described him in the post isn't the totality of his being. I respect him because he came from less than nothing, poverty and abuse, and has become successful. He's super smart and analytical. He has incredible work ethic and discipline. He's quirky and hilarious and nurturing towards his dogs, birds, and plants. He can be extremely thoughtful and sweet. But honestly that just makes his mean streak harder to deal with. If he was like this all the time, we wouldn't have lasted 7 months. Just trying to give extra context. Break up. He's clearly communicated that he doesn't care about your feelings and is completely disinterested in learning to treat you better. It doesn't matter if he has autism or not. Is this how you want to be treated? Why do his reasons change your expectations and requirements? For all his bad habits they haven't turned you away. It's really about why you are lowering your requirements but complaining about it. I guess what I'm wondering is if he's right that my expectations for him are just fucked up? No, it's pretty normal and reasonable to expect your partner to be nice to you. Is he right that his bad behavior is because he's autistic? Probably not, but even if it was, so what? He's being an asshole to you and has zero interest in working on it. He thinks you just need to put up with it. You don't. My personal opinion is that most of this does not sound like manifestations of autism whatsoever, but regardless, you don't have to date someone who is mean to you. 7 months into a new relationship and he's showing you who he is. You two should still be in the honeymoon phase. Instead, he's showing you he doesn't give a flying fuck about treating you with basic kindness. He's lazy and can't be bothered. How can you love someone that treats you like shit all the time? Raise your game. There are decent people out there, you don't have to put up with this wanker. You're not required to date someone who doesn't treat you well. No matter their issues. 30M dumped by 35F over salary and lifestyle differences. I, 30M, was broken up with by my 35F, now ex-GF over our salary, life differences. My ex and I met and instantly had a great connection. We have several common interests and grew a love for each other very quickly. We bonded over past relationships and how they weren't great for either of us and how comfortable we felt with each other. She is a successful real estate agent in a busy northeast city. I am a special education coordinator in the same city. We dated for 4 months without a single hiccup in our relationship until I was told that the school I am working at will be closing at the end of the year. I have decided to take this unique opportunity to spin it into a positive and go back to school and get a second master's in social work to transition my career to mental health counseling and hopefully a private practice. This was something we both discussed and talked about at great lengths together. It wasn't until this did she start to hint at the differences of our salaries being a concern of hers. I should note that other aspects of our futures we shared similar views on, such as marriage and kids and living together. When we broke up, she said that she didn't think she could look past her needing to be the main earner in a relationship or someone that could share in the lifestyle she has created for herself, i.e. taking trips on a whim, and overall not worrying about expenses. This is still fresh for me and just looking for honest and unfiltered thoughts to help me process and move on. And #X200B. Edits. Didn't think this would get as much traction as it did. But want to answer some things that have come up and hopefully add some clarity to some of the incorrect assumptions, statements made. 1. There was never a time where she would have been financially helping me with the degree, nor would I be going into significant debt to do so. We have separate living arrangements and I already have set up part-time work that would be done in conjunction with the program to continue supporting myself through this process. 2. The degree would only take 16 months to complete with then clinical hours to follow. It also is something that I will not be paying for. I have received funding and tuition assistance, so I am not accruing any debt. 3. I am using the degree to go into a career as a school counselor and ultimately private practice young adult therapist for struggling students. Info. You don't mention how this change of yours affects the current split of activities. 4 months isn't a long relationship. Were you living together? Did you expect her to support you through this change? Does this stop the two of you from doing similar activities? That short of time, it sounds like different priorities. Try not to take it personally and just realize there was an incompatibility between you two. This is a fairly common one, I think. It's better to find out now than later. I know some women just feel this way. It's not right or wrong. Just what they want. Some men don't like being out-earned by their wives either. Honestly, it's better she communicated this now than when you two got married. When I was in college I knew a woman who was married. She was in her mid to late 20s and had been married 3 or so years. She said this bothered her and she had developed resentment. She didn't like being the main wage earner in her marriage. With her, the mistake she made was not being forthright way earlier. People are allowed to have preferences, of course. I'd prefer to be with someone who makes a lot of money and can afford to take me on lovely trips or at least pay their way. But in reality, I make a lot more than my partner and I'm the one who pays for the lovely trips. He works hard, I'm just in a more lucrative field. Before I met him, many men were turned off that I made more than them. Sounds like your ex prefers a more traditional, man as breadwinner, role too. Nothing you can do about it. She's just old-fashioned. For what it's worth, most of my women friends earn more than their partners, husbands, and it's not an issue. This is a her problem, not a you problem. Thanks for the work you do and for what you plan to do. It's important work. You already have one master's degree in a subject that doesn't pay, and you want to double down on another that equally doesn't pay? Just use your current degree to get a job, regardless of your desired field. Why put yourself into more debt, for not return, when you can just get a return currently on what you already have? As far as this relationship, she knows what she wants and she's going for it. You two were only together for 4 months. Keep that in mind. It sounds like she is very ready to build that future and be living that life today while you still have a number of years of school and restarting your career before you'll be ready to do those next step things. To support you going back to school, she'd have to do a lot of backtracking on her lifestyle. That's a lot to ask from someone who is looking for a companion to live her lifestyle and take the next steps now. Especially for a boyfriend of only a few months. Sounds like it's pretty much a stage of life thing. Fed up living like a monk, 42 male and 39 female. Reposting due to lack of replies. So me, 42 male, and my wife, 39 female, have been married for almost 10 years, together for 12. Relationship has been great up until a couple of years ago when we started to become less physically intimate. She developed some other symptoms which eventually ended in a diagnosis of early menopause. She started HRT around 6 months ago, which has alleviated some of the symptoms but not all. Her libido is now virtually non-existent. We've always had a physical relationship, and I'm finding it really hard to live without this now. We have sex maybe once a month, and to be honest it feels like pity sex most of the time. I've given up trying to initiate anything now. I feel unloved and unwanted. She said to me last night, as I was about to fall asleep, that she was sorry she doesn't put out much. She said it along with something else. I just ignored the comment about not putting out as it was too late to talk about it and I was tired. But it woke me up as I thought about the phrasing because it's not something she would normally say. Not putting out indicates that she doesn't really want to but is doing it more from a sense of duty or obligation. I don't want that. I want someone who genuinely wants to get physically intimate because they want to, and because they want to with me. Actually struggling to cope with this. I find myself looking at couples out on the street and wondering how many times they do it, how the guy must feel to lie in bed with someone who gets horny, etc. Quite soul-destroying actually. Any advice on what to do next would be appreciated. If your dick suddenly wouldn't get hard anymore, and she told you that it made her feel unwanted and unloved, what would your advice to her be? The advice you're asking for: sit down with her and talk to her like a human being. Open your heart, let her open hers. Do not shout. Do not yell. Do not blame. Just express your emotions and how you're feeling and give her the dignity and opportunity to do the same. Honestly, you shouldn't need random people on the internet to tell you to do this. But given you've not mentioned it in your post, I'm going ahead with assuming you haven't done relationship step number 1, talking. Your poor wife. Dude, she's going through menopause. Beat it. I feel so bad for your wife. She's literally going through medical issues and you're over here crying like she's doing this on purpose. You say you want her to want it, but her body is literally incapable right now, and after 12 years you don't care about that? You just care that you're not getting your bang on. Pathetic. How do I, 21F, confront my cheating boyfriend? 23 male. I, 21F, found out that my boyfriend, 23 male, has been cheating on me last night. We've been together for 3 years and I have never really been suspicious of him or had a reason to be, but out of nowhere last night I got this very sudden gut feeling to go through his phone, and of course I find Instagram messages of him talking and flirting with some girl, sending nudes and calling each other baby and saying that he's in love with her. He's also been replying to the stories of seemingly every other woman he comes across, calling them stunning and gorgeous and asking for their Snapchats and to meet up. I also saw that he had saved nudes of other women in Snapchat from up to 4 months ago, though I suspect he's probably been doing this for longer than that. I took photos of all these messages on my own phone and was far too shocked to do anything about it at the time, but it's been a full day now and I think I'm finally ready to confront him. I just don't know how to do it. I'm not the type to just show up at his house kicking and screaming, but I also don't want to sit down and have a mature conversation about it. I know I want to break up with him and I want him to know that he's a dickhead for what he did, but also I don't want to embarrass myself by crying and giving him the satisfaction of hurting me. The best idea I've got it to just text him all the screenshots I took and then block him on everything, but I want to see him sweat a little bit, so I'm hoping maybe someone on here can give me ideas on how to go about confronting him. Ghosting him would be a good way to make him sweat. No need to confront him, cheaters tend to lie. If you want to dump him you don't need a reason. Why do you want to see him sweat a little? After 3 years of cheating on you, do you honestly think he cares about you or how you feel? The lying cheat will just apologize and promise to be better. Just send him one picture and say goodbye and move on. Good luck. Ghost him. It seems like you are looking for a reason to stay. The guy cheated on you. That is that. Love and respect yourself more than he does. Show him you know what he did and do not give him any room to manipulate or gaslight you. Keep it brief and go find someone who deserves you. The sooner and faster you do it, the easier it will be to heal and move on.